Hi everyone. Well, Vlad just told me that Deep Purple just released a new album, and I said, "Wait, what? I've listened to Deep Purple. I guess I listened to the first song I heard was the Child in Time, which I fell in love with right away. And I've also listened to one of their movements from the Concerto for Group and Orchestra, which I was also really interested to see what they did because they were kind of groundbreakers in that regard. And apparently they're still active, still releasing albums. And I said, well, how old are they? And Vlad said, well, Ian Gillan is 78 years old. Go for it. I think it's fabulous. You know, being a musician, it's one of those careers which you can actually do for much longer than, say, sports or some other physical demanding job, or even, I don't know, office job. By the time you get done with those things, you're either physically not up to it anymore, or you just don't have the interest and desire, and let's retire. But musicians, we love what we do. We do it because we're passionate about it. So most of us don't ever wish to retire. And it ends up being something that we carry with us into our later years. Even if we're not still doing it professionally, we're still doing it. It's a part of us. Well, it seems that Ian Gillan is still doing it professionally at the age of 78, and I think that's fabulous. So, when he told me that they just released this new album...
Single.
Oh, thank you. I wanted to hear it. I still plan to go back and hear some of the earlier classic stuff too, because I've enjoyed what I've heard so far. But I'm curious to see, all right, they've been around for how many decades? 4, 5? I don't know. How is it now? In fact, it's going to be interesting to me because I just listened to the Taylor Swift release, and she's a modern artist, certainly not back from that era. And you can find my review, my listening experience to that here. Vlad will put the link up here. But this is going to be kind of a band that has deep roots and a deep history through so much of the rock era. I am very curious to see what is their most recent release. Have they really changed? Have they lightened up? Have they gotten more complex? Have they gone a different direction? Are they as colorful as I heard their earlier stuff? It doesn't have to be the same. I mean, you're an artist. You don't want to repeat the same thing. You're not producing cookies. But I would be thrilled if I listened to this and found it colorful and engaging and dynamic. We'll see. Let's get started. No, wait, I'm supposed to read. The enigmatic album title, Equals One, encapsulates the band's philosophy of unity amidst complexity, promising an album that resonates deeply with their 5 decades spanning hard rock legacy. Produced once again by iconic Bob Ezrin, who has been described by Alice Cooper as our George Martin, and also the producer of The Wall. That's why I know the name. Equals One captures the purest classic Deep Purple sound without relying on nostalgia. That's promising. In a recent interview regarding the sonic direction of their upcoming album, their new guitarist Simon McBride shared insights saying, "The new album will reflect what the 5 of us create in the rehearsal room. Many of the songs, like Portable Door," by the way, I'm listening to Portable Door. Portable Door, what a name. "Were written in the first sessions and literally came together in 5 or 10 minutes. It all was so easy and natural." Frontman Ian Gillan, the 78-year-old, highlighting the organic nature of Deep Purple's songwriting, added, "Throughout Deep Purple's history, our best songs have always been those that were written in no time at all. We've played what felt good and developed songs as we have always done." With 3 consecutive #1 albums in their back pocket and a resurgent new energy powering them forward, This is Deep Purple at their pinnacle. Is it? That sounds a little bit like an ad. Let's see if it's true. Now What from 2013, Infinite from 2017, and Whoosh from 2020 have sold over 1 million copies worldwide. Is that 1 million altogether or 1 million apiece? Making Deep Purple one of the most successful rock bands currently alive. The latest studio album, Whoosh, reached #1 on the album charts in 7 countries and charted in the top 10 in another 12. Whoosh. Whoosh. What a title. Well, it seems that they're at least inventive with their titles. Let's see what this portable door sounds like. Does it sound like a door?
When it came to me one day in Nashville, man, I was right on the edge. And that jacket's too small for a man of your size, and those socks are too big for your head. My eyes glaze, whatever you say, I'm listening, do tell me more. It goes under the bridge, right over my head, and out to my portable door.
This little riff or bit of intro material, motif that I'm hearing, it was the introduction and now it's the interlude. I like the way it's kind of angular and it feels like we have a couple different time signatures stacked on top of each other. It feels a little bit wonky in its rhythmic setup because of that. The guitar, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Notice. And then about here we realize, yeah, the drums aren't giving us 3s, the drums are giving us 4s. So we have 3 and 4 stacked on top of each other. The emphasis is kind of weird that way, and it gives us this really nice feeling of we're a little bit out of balance, like sitting on a chair with one leg a little bit short and you just can't quite get it to settle, and you're searching for that place in which you can relax and not have it rocking and disturbing your ease. And that's how we go into each verse, or at least each verse so far.
Trapped in a dire situation between reason and someone in law. The winner takes all and runs off with the ball, and nothing could pleasure me more.
I'm noticing also how even the melody is kind of in this nothing could pleasure me more, kind of in groups of 3s, even in the verse. Let's hear that again, although it probably repeats.
The winner takes all and runs off with the ball, and nothing could pleasure me more. Times when I've spoken my piece, for a minute or two held the floor, but I can't get a word in, so here I am hurtling right up through my portable door.
And it's the chorus where we kind of finally fall into da 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 da, and we feel more comfortable.
You held the floor, but I can't get a word in, so here I am hurtling right up through my portable door.
This is more comfortable. was interesting. I don't hate it. It doesn't grip me like let's say Child in Time gripped me. But it still has the Deep Purple sound. The solo was actually an organ solo, wasn't it? And I remember that organ sound from the band as being really integral to their work. So, kind of fun. Well, I have to say that I'm quite impressed for a group of grandpas. Can I say that without being offensive? To be creating music with this sort of vibrancy, because their sound is very vibrant. And, well, Gillan's voice he's the singer, right? So singing at 78 years old in a band, that's impressive. And he's present. He has a voice still. So I think that is pretty great. Well, probably the new guitarist is maybe a bit younger than the rest of them, but I'm really enjoying this idea of a band having been around, been through so much, part of so much of the history of rock, and still out producing albums. And it seems that there's a market for it because, well, that's quite a few albums to be putting out in a few years.
They're going to tour Europe and North America this year.
Are they coming to Nashville?
Unfortunately not.
Oh well. It's okay. I'm perfectly fine listening to them here because then I can sit down and pay attention and stop the music when I need to think about something, so I don't feel too much of a loss. Anyway, this has been fun. I intend to go back and listen to more of their earlier works. Maybe at some point I'll come back to this album itself once they get it all put out there and see what else they have, because it would be interesting to see, are they still really creative in their mix? Let's see, what was the phrase they said? Unity in complexity. I think that's what it was. Yes, unity amidst complexity. And that's a good sentiment. That's a worthy topic to explore. And I'd be curious to see how else they explored it other than this single that they've put out to kind of tease us all. So, there I have a band that I've heard way back when, and then their groundbreaking concerto for group and orchestra, and now this very, very recent production. They do sound like they own their own sound. They don't shy away from it. And I don't know enough to know how many people today really seek out this sound. But they've managed to preserve, I guess, more than the other band that I listened to that had a modern release a year or two ago was near when I started was
You did Metallica.
Metallica, yeah, Metallica. And they had a new single, I think, that they put out.
And then the album.
Yes. And that was, they kind of changed, and it felt like their whole focus had shifted musically, sonically. But this one feels like it is still Deep Purple, even though I've just heard 3 songs by them so far. So there we have Deep Purple's Portable Door. Let's see what comes next. I'll see you soon.